Welcome back to Success with Steven. My name is Steven Smith. On this channel, we talk about all things financial literacy. And today we're going to be discussing the policy side of student loan debt and the most recent updates that we've received. I'm also going to share 4 ways your student loan debt can be forgiven in 2024. So let's get right into it. The Supreme Court ruled on Wednesday, August 28th, 2024, that the current administration's latest student loan forgiveness plan should remain blocked while a court battle plays out, keeping some federal student loan borrower payments on pause while the litigation moves forward. As of October of last year, the current administration canceled $127 billion in student loan debt for more than 3.5 million borrowers, more than any other administration in history. This is even with the Supreme Court striking down the signature student loan forgiveness program. However, these cancellations have come through existing federal student loan forgiveness programs, which are limited to specific categories of borrowers such as public sector workers, people defrauded by for-profit colleges, and borrowers who have paid for at least 20 years of student loan debt. These programs are separate from the rejected forgiveness plan, which would have canceled $430 billion of the $1.6 trillion of outstanding federal student loan debt all at one time. I think the most surprising part about all of this is that these programs have already existed and they weren't being implemented or enforced properly, which is why it was such confusion around them, as well as some loan servicers provided incorrect information to discourage you from taking advantage of these options. And then for me personally, this is how my mom was able to get her student loan debt forgiven. So I'm going to go over these 4 ways with you so you can see if any of these options are applicable to you, so you can potentially use them to get your student loan debt forgiven. Now, the first one I'm going to talk about is income-driven repayment plans. They actually date back to 1994. They allow student loan borrowers to pay a share of their earnings towards their debt each month to get any remaining debt forgiven after a set period of time. So there are 4 different plans that you're going to take a look at, yet many borrowers paid into this system for years without getting the promised cancellation. People who were servicing these loans, they weren't keeping track of the numbers of qualifying payments. The current administration has evaluated millions of borrowers' loans to see if they should have their debt cleared as a result of this misinformation, and it has cleared nearly $42 billion for more than 850,000 people enrolled in these programs. Most people with federal student loans qualify for income-driven repayment plans and can review the options and apply at studentaid.gov. For all of the options that we're going to be discussing for today, they'll be linked in the description if you want to click on them and check them out. I'm going to briefly look over them for you so you can look at the eligibility requirements. And if you guys want more in-depth or even a video that shows you how to apply for this if you do qualify, let me know in the comments, because depending on how many people may comment on one particular option, that may be the one that I make a video about first, because I want to make sure that the needs of the many get met first before I go through the other options. So let's take a look at studentaid.gov. And here are the 4 IDR payment plans that you can compare. There's the SAVE plan, the Payee plan, the IBR plan, borrowed before July 1st of 2014, and then the ICR plan. And here's some eligibility information. So defaulted loans are not eligible for repayment under the SAVE, Payee, or the ICR plans. Eligible borrowers can use the Fresh Start incentive to easily get their loans out of default. It takes 10 minutes or less to request Fresh Start, and you can get on the IDR plan in the same phone call. I'm going to again put the link in the description for you, and if this is an option that you would want more information about, then please let me know in the comments. I'd be more than happy to make a dedicated video to just this type of repayment plan option. The next program that we're going to be talking about is the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program. So this program was signed into law by former President George W. Bush in 2007. It allows certain nonprofit and government employees to have their federal student loans discharged after 10 years of on-time payments. In 2013, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, CFPB, estimated that 1/4 of American workers may be eligible. Yet, after getting wrong information from their servicers about the program's requirements, Millions of borrowers hit walls. People frequently found that some or all of their qualifying payments didn't count because they had a loan or were enrolled in a payment plan not covered under the initiative. The current administration has tried to reverse the trend of borrowers being excluded from the relief on technicalities, and it has broadened eligibility and allowed some people to reapply for the relief as long as they were working in the public sector and paying down their debt. So some 715,000 public servants have gotten their debt erased as a result. With the PSLF help tool, borrowers can also search for a list of qualifying employers under the program and access the employer certification form. They can also learn more about the program's requirements at studentaid.gov. So we will take a look at that. Now, to basically sum this up, you have to be a nonprofit or government employee, and you needed to make 10 years of consecutive payments on your student loans in order to qualify for this. And here is some information on how to apply. So to be considered for the PSLF, you only need to submit a PSLF form. The easiest way to do this is by using the PSLF help tool. So you can go through this again. All of these are going to be in the description so you can see which one you can potentially qualify for. All right, let's move on to the next forgiveness program. The current administration has also forgiven the student debt of more than 500,000 disabled borrowers. The $11.7 billion in aid was delivered under the Total and Permanent Disability Discharge. The U.S. Department of Education has gotten better at identifying borrowers who are disabled and in need of this relief by accessing information from the Social Security Administration. Borrowers may qualify for a TBD discharge if they suffer from a mental or physical disability that is severe, permanent, and prevents them from working. Proof of the disability can come from a doctor. It can also come from the Social Security Administration or the Department of Veteran Affairs. Now let's take a look at this and just see exactly what other eligibility requirements that are needed for this one. Once again, link is in the description if you want to go to the Total and Permanent Disability Discharge Program. If you're totally and permanently disabled, you may qualify for a discharge of your federal student loans and or teacher education assistance for college and higher education. If you get a TPD discharge, you won't have to repay the following types of loans: the William D. Ford Federal Direct Loan, the Federal Family Education Loan, and the Federal Perkins Loan. If you received a Teach Grant, a TBD discharge also relieves you from your Teach Grant service obligations. In some cases, to qualify for a TBD discharge, you must submit a completed TBD discharge application and documentation showing that you meet our requirements for being considered totally and permanently disabled. Again, this will be in the description if you want to take a look at this option and submit an application. Now, our last program is the borrower defense. So there's another 1.3 million borrowers that have walked away from their debt over the past few years thanks to the borrower defense loan discharge. These people received $22.5 billion in relief. Borrowers can be eligible for the discharge if their schools suddenly closed or they were cheated by their colleges. So the current administration has more swiftly processed these applications and has started considering cases in a group rather than requiring each attendee of a school to prove they were misled. Now, this one is a little ambiguous, but again, we'll go and take a look at what exactly we need to qualify. So link for the borrower defense program will be in the description as well. And who should complete this? So under the new 2023 regulation, borrowers who have federal student loans and can demonstrate that they enrolled in a school or continue to attend a school based on misleading information from the school or other misconduct covered by the regulation and suffered a detriment that is of a nature and degree warranting a full discharge of their applicable federal loans. Now, again, this one, it isn't really explicitly stated like the others, but it is one that's very interesting. It can take 3 hours for this application, so I would definitely prepare to be doing this for a while. The other thing that I recommend, there is a number here that you can use to actually call. I would consider calling to find out exactly what situations would warrant this type of program in order for you to get your loans forgiven. And that number is 1-855-279-6207. And you can also do the same thing with any of those other options if you have any questions. Once again, thank you so much for watching this video. I really do appreciate that. I have talked about credit, not just business, personal, on this channel, and I've probably spoke to more than 2,000 people about this. Federal student loans are different, and these are the ways that people have gotten their debt forgiven over the last few years. And while we are waiting on this current administration or the next one that comes in to see what happens with this, we need to do something else in the meantime. Gathering information, knowing our resources and options that we have is the best way that we can actually take care of this. So I will keep you up to date. And once again, I appreciate you watching. You guys have a wonderful day.